Yeah, it's much better now. Got a second amplifier on the output of the crystal filter. Again, it's a Casco J310. You can see here that it's also sharing that 2.7 volts coming off the 4 diodes there. That's that red line there. This red line here is feeding what will be the AGC voltage. So we can see that affecting both amplifiers. And then of course is VCC. I've also made some modifications to the RF amplifier, only in so much as that 15k ohm resistor is now a 100k resistor, and that gives me, in terms of the voltage on the gate, 0 through to 1.2 volts, which I thought seems to be quite a nice compromise for all 3 bands. This is now 3 bands. It's 80 meter, 40 meters and 20 meters with a tuning capacitor here. It's a bit of a mess, and I acknowledge that. And you know, one of these days, when I break open the engraver and we what's the word, CNC machine basically, I'll look to make a much better way of wiring this up. But at the moment, it's fine, and you don't get too many. You know, you can fiddle this, and it doesn't seem to change the bandpass too much. So this is currently 20 meters, obviously. So I had someone down here, that's fine. I might nip down to 40 meters. Let's go down to 7. This is currently sitting on the 20 meter antenna. I'll just pick that. So that's the RF amplifier off. Amplifier on. That's minimum RF gain. Next one. And of course, what will be the AGC eventually. Oh, keep looking around there. Got plenty of gain now, so you can see the audio gain knob is only really sitting on about 1/3 on this band. A little bit noisy there. Now if we go down to the 80 meter band, so 80 meters down to 3, we'll start at 3.737. We'll sniff around there. We'll just peak this. That's minimum RF gain. Amplifier off. Typical 80 meters, quite a noisy band. Anyway, so that's working a lot better now. It's certainly, like I say, much better having that second amplifier there. Just boosts that gain up a little bit more and fixes up that sensitivity issue. So I think I might stick with that. happy with that. And back up to 20 meters. 20. Let's go with 14, and we'll start with say 277. Now this is all, so those other two bands there, 80-40, are sitting on the 20 meter antenna. So I'm not catching the call sign. It's obviously French. It's either going to be French Polynesia here in the Pacific or continental. Okay, enough there. Something I do want to look into, so RF amplifier off. If I now go on to a dummy load, I'm still getting a little bit of noise coming through, so I need to hunt out where that noise is coming from. My other radios have been pretty good, where you go on to dummy load, or take the antenna off, same thing. It's deathly silent, so somewhere around here I'm getting some noise being introduced into the receiver. So I need to start sort of, divide the circuit in half, and I'll try and work out where it's coming from. I know it's not the audio amp, because if I disconnect either the input to that mixer or the BFO, then it's deathly quiet. There's absolutely nothing coming out of the audio amp, so I know it's not that. Anyway, things to play around with, things to perfect, things to make better down track. And like I say, I'm quite keen to turn this radio into a bit of a test bed. So build it and then go, right, okay, I have a noise issue, or maybe I want to play around with a BJT amplifier as opposed to FETs, and that'll be the approach, just to sort of go back over parts of the circuit and rebuild things and try and make things incrementally better. So I think that's going to be my approach once this particular radio is built. But at the moment I'm quite happy with the bandpass filters. They seem to be working quite well. Certainly, like I say, happy with that second IF amp that's doing the trick, and I'm quite happy now that I've changed the gain on that. So I think I mentioned before, it was 0 to 1.2 volts now, which is much better than the 0 through to was about 6 volts. I was noticing on 20 meters that the gain was a little bit too high, and I think I was either not quite sure where I was swamping, but I was just going to get a little bit of noise being introduced in the output audio when I was getting above say 2/3. So that problem's disappeared now, and quite frankly, minimum gain, or what is now 0 to 1 volts, 1.2 volts, it works well across all three bands. Righty-ho, okay, I won't belabor this. I've sort of been rambling on now for 10 odd minutes, but just sort of wanted to do a bit of a quick video, just sort of showing how things were. Let's go back to how things were performing. So much. You can hear that peaking with the bandpass filter. Some data mode. 40 meters here. 40 meters here can be that's enough. 40 meters can be certainly quite not a lot of activity. Certainly what's time now, it's sort of 9:30 at night, so things are starting to quieten down. Right, 73 everybody, and we'll do another video shortly. I think next steps will be microphone amplifier, and then we'll start looking at some circuits to turn this into a transceiver. I am not going to use that relay that I had in there. what was very interesting is in the previous radios, that relay didn't cause me any concerns, and I felt I had good isolation. But in this particular radio, that is certainly not the case at all. You can see where the two inputs and outputs are reasonably close there, and what I was having when that was in here is that as the RF went around the circuit, came out of this amplifier, or this one here now, and went back in, it was jumping across to this side and going back around again. And as I increased the RF gain, I got to a point where I obviously had 360 degrees full phase shift, and obviously loop gain more than one, and it broke into oscillations. So I took that out and just have this now, just a straight circuit around, problem's totally gone away. So what that means I'll have to do, because I am still quite keen to not build more IFMs and just have a switching network that it's always sending RF in this particular way clockwise through the circuit. So what I'll do now, rather than having a double pole double throw relay, I'll use two single pole double throw relays, and I'll get around the problem that way. Well, that's the plan anyway. The microphone amplifier, I think at this stage we'll stick with using that commercial mic, and I think I'm quite keen to use that 5534 like I've used over here for the first stage of that audio amp. It's a good low noise op amp, and I think I'll have plenty of gain with that alone to boost up the mic audio. So I think we'll probably mount the microphone socket around here somewhere, and probably just tuck the microphone amplifier just in behind it, and then we can have a network. I might just look at either paralleling up the input output of this mixer here, or a relay. In the past I've just had them paralleled up and it's fine. On receive the AF amp is powered, and then on transmit the mic is powered. The only thing I've had to do in the past as well, which I may have to do, is that you quite often get a clicking noise as you change from transmit to receive, and what I've done in the past over here on the speaker line is just have a small switch that just opens up and removes the output of the audio amp as it switches over, and that's predominantly because of the filtering capacitor, not that one there but this one here. Even though it's 100 mic, it's still just enough to keep, there's another 100 mic down here, just enough to keep the amp running as the radio toggles to transmit, and you get that sort of feedback clicking noise. So we'll get around that. I think that's probably all for now. The other thing of course I do need to do is work on the AGCs. So what I might do, as you can see, this radio is planned out and I've got steps all written down next to me. Not. In fact, what I will do is I won't do the microphone amplifier at this stage. I will work on the IF amp, and what I think I'll do there is I want to take the output of this second IF amplifier. I'll feed that into a high impedance, probably either a JFET or an op amp, because I don't want to load down this mixer. So I'll just pick off some voltage there. We will amplify that, so it'll be a DC amplifier, and then we will feed that back in, which will effectively be, this pot will disappear, and this red wire here will be the output of our DC amplifier. So that'll be good. So it'll give us ranging from 0 volts through to approximately 6, which will be enough. So just remember, because we've jacked up the sources of this JFET and this one here to around 2.7 volts, 2.8 volts, around there somewhere, 0 volts being applied to its gate is effectively minus 2.7 volts. So now you're getting very close to pinch off for those two devices, and hence you get that really huge range of gain. So so that will be the next step, will be to work on the IF amp, and something I haven't done before. The last AGC I did play around with was audio derived, and the literature's quite good about the drawbacks of using audio derived AGC. So this time I'll go back for a more traditional technique of using the IF, picking that IF output. So we'll have a play with that, and we'll see where we get. That might take a little while. Anyway, 73s everybody. I'll throw this up, and what I'll probably do at some stage is do a bit of a wrap up, looking at what were the final configurations for these two amps, as well as this one here. These two here, in fact 1, 2, 3 are pretty well the same. This one here is subtly different because it's got those 4 diodes there, which is also configured over here, so these two are very similar. Anyway, suffice to say, we'll do a catch-up video looking at the circuit diagrams in due course. Also going to do some work on the software. You can see what will be the various modes. Currently I've just got a VFO-A mode, and what I do need to do is work on, when I go from this position here, down arrow, that needs to take me down to VFO-B, down again into the memory modes, and then I can step through memories. I think in software I might just have, say, 10 memories for a start, because I certainly find here in New Zealand on both 80, 40 and not so much 20, but certainly 80 and 40, there's certain frequencies that get used over and over again, so I'll have those sitting in memory. And we'll also have a scan mode. So if we went down again and then activate, we'll have a scan. And what I'll probably do for a start, that as it's scanning through, if I hear something coming through, I can hit any switch or do something, and it will stop the scan. But ultimately down track, we do have lots and lots, just pointing them here, of analog pins available on our Mega here. So we can use some system where the output of the AGC amplifier we can pick off, feed into here. So as you're scanning through, if you were to come across a station, then that voltage would jump up, we'll detect it, and we'll stop the scan. So it'll be more of a traditional scanning type radio feature to stop the scan, as opposed to a user inputted stop. So, but that's all down track. This is just getting things up and running, and we'll worry about enhancing the functionality of the radio at a later date. Let's go in for a rainy day, do a bit of software engineering. Rightio, I have well and truly rambled here, so apologies for that. Certainly very happy as he starts to talk again with that very simple crystal filter. Yeah, the crystals were matched, but literally the selection of those capacitors, as I did in that video, were just I don't want to say a rule of thumb, but just an approach taken by Pete Giuliano N6QW, where he sort of selects standard values for the configuration. But even though it's a reasonably tightish filter, for SSB it's fine. That's no problems at all. So I'm more than happy with that. There was a question asked, will this be an AM detector at some point in time? Maybe. But to do that, then we'll need to have an AM 6 kHz wide filter at some stage, and I've got one of those lying around. But like I say, this radio here is going to become a radio to build and enhance and play with, so that can certainly be a feature down track. I'll probably run out a bit of real estate here, but we will play around with that in due course. Anyway, it is 9:30 here. It is time for me to get some sleep. Again, 73s, and we will catch you on the next one. Cheers all.